Welcome to footpoweredmachinery.com for another interesting video on foot-powered machinery.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another video of foot-powered machine from the past. Today we'll be featuring the Barnes No. 3 Velocipede wood lathe. The Barnes No. 3 wood lathe is considered by many to be the most highly decorated and just plain pretty of any foot-powered machine, with all the pinstriping and what I am calling the floral design on the wood bed itself. Also very functional and easy to run. The W.F. and John Barnes Company of Rockford, Illinois was the largest manufacturer of foot-powered machinery in the world, having made well over 100,000 pieces between about 1870 and around 1925 or so. Almost all of these machines did not survive intact because of war scrap drives and the advent of electric motors. Very early into their foot-powered product line, around 1874, Barnes recognized the importance of having a wood lathe and introduced the short-lived No. 1, shown here in this early and partial restore. This lathe used a round belt, or perhaps even a V-belt, or early version of that called a trapezoidal belt. In addition, it used a very lightweight flywheel, as seen here. For power, it used a treadle system identical to the one on this yet to be restored early combine machine. When the pedal was pushed down, the stick connected to the same shaft pulled on a leather belt that engaged a ratchet and pawl mechanism, which in turn turned the flywheel. Return for this was provided by a wooden return spring, which was connected to an oscillating pulley which got everything back to the beginning position.
Barnes was very innovative, and with the advent of the very successful Velocipede patent in 1876, Barnes introduced the first version of the No. 3 wood lathe. It was basically the top of the No. 1, still with the round belts that could swing 9 3/4 inches and hold a piece 30 inches long. It used a wood-style bench seat. The next version of the No. 3 extended the length of the bed to 36 inches and introduced a familiar tractor-style seat that could be moved up and down the lathe as the operator desired.
And with the invention of belt gearing in 1886, the final version of the No. 3 shown in this video was introduced. Belt gearing is where sprocket-like tips, shown here on the small pulley, meshed into equally spaced holes in the leather belt. This was a major step in that virtually eliminated any slipping that was very common with round belts. This allowed Barnes to use a heavy 2-speed flywheel that increased the power, so the size of the turnings increased to 12 inches in diameter and up to 3 feet long, and produced speeds of up to 2,000 RPMs. Overall, Barnes likely made well over 5,000 of the No. 3s until it was discontinued in the late 1920s. While belt gearing was a major step forward, the change to a flat 1 3/4 inch wide leather belt was likely more important. Today, most of the headstocks have had the tips ground off, as seen here, as making a leather belt with appropriately spaced holes can be a challenge and in reality was not needed. With their background in working with farm machinery models, you can see where they got the idea of the farm implement style cast iron seat. It was mounted on an arm that swung on a rod on the back of the lathe, and it could easily be moved to the location of the work.
Because of the design, the lathe had to be pedaled in reverse to make the work spin correctly for turning.
Both the headstock and tailstock used a Morris taper No. 1, and the lathe came with accessories such as this cross faceplate, a turn faceplate, and a longer tool rest. In addition to the floral design that you see here, which was on both ends of the bed, Barnes made extensive use of pinstriping. You can see the pinstriping on the headstock, on the tool rest itself, on the legs, down on the flywheel, and even the seat.
The floral design did vary some, and even today, with the skilled painter, can be reproduced like what you see here. Barnes would make the bed and pedals longer as seen here and offered a bench-top version that ran from a counter shaft.
As with all Barnes machinery, a serial number was stamped in it somewhere. In this case, the serial number is 1885 and is stamped in the rear of the bed. The lathe was likely made before 1900s. The bed is original, however, the legs and all the metal parts have been authentically restored.
All the Barnes catalogs that I am familiar with show it only offered with Velocipede power. Barnes did offer true treadle as an option for their metal lathes, but never say never, as the number 3 did show up and down under that is true treadle.
Barnes did not have much commercial competition in a wood lathe. Manufacturers like Seneca Falls, the one shown here, made lathes that would turn wood with less capacity. All of these had heavy metal beds. It typically came with some sort of compound that allowed metal cutting as well.
Perhaps the most competition came from homemade treadle lathes, such as this one that was based on sketches in Roy Underhill's The Woodwright's Workbook. The second is original and even has a scroll saw attachment. Back then, people had more time than money, and making one of these is fairly simple. Stay tuned to this channel for more videos to come in the near future. And to find out more about foot-powered machinery, please visit our website at www.footpoweredmachinery.com. If you're interested in antique and traditional tools, please check out Midwest Tool Collectors Association.